Welcome back. We completed the belt in the previous lesson, and in this lesson we're going to begin working on the hand, just blocking out the basic shapes of the palm and the first finger, which we'll use to duplicate to create the other fingers. So we're going to get started with a polygon cube for that. And there's lots of different ways to model hands. This is not the only way to do it. But it is one way to kind of get a stylized cartoon type hand. And we're going to be working pretty efficiently. We're going to have some extra geometry in there that we're going to have to kind of collapse down to connect with the wrist, but it will kind of give us enough geometry to work with and resolution to work with to kind of get the shape of the fingers that we're after. Okay, so I just got my cube placed up here next to the end of the cuff. Let's go ahead and shape that. So this is the palm of the hand. And he's got pretty large hands. And we're going to add a little bit of subdivisions across here. So the width, let's go ahead and put 3 in there. The height, we're going to need 1. And across the front, he's going to have 4 fingers, and this is definitely one way that you can do it, just extruding the faces out. We're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to actually bump this up to 8, and that way we don't have to come back and insert the edge loops across the top to create kind of that roundness that we're after. We'll already have that built in right there. So I can probably scale this. So let's scale this down just a little bit more. Get a bit more of a square shape here. Okay. About like that. And we can always bring this point up a little bit when we are ready to do so. Okay, so we have a lot of resolution that we're working with, kind of going down in between the fingers here. So each one of these represents where the fingers are going to come out. So this would be 1 finger, and then we've got our remaining 3 right there, plus a edge loop that's going down the center of the finger. And to connect all of this geometry into a wrist, which we're going to use a cylinder for, is a lot of geometry. So we're going to collapse some of that down. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's take the faces off here first. So dragging a marquee and then deselecting here. So we just have the inside ones selected and we can get rid of those. And let's go ahead and just kind of move this out a little bit and up. So we kind of want the palm a little bit more towards the top of the shirt here. Okay, and centered up. So trying to get the center line lined up with the center of the shirt. And then we can pull it out there. And we're going to kind of go with the shirt sleeve being a little bit short on him, just kind of like we have our pant legs a little bit short. Doesn't quite fit him. Or he's wearing some clothes from high school still. Okay, so we're going to collapse some of these points down. We've currently got 20 going around here. It's a lot more than what we need. And we're just going to do that by grabbing the vertices and merging them. And then we can delete the edge in the middle here. That way it keeps everything as a quad. Okay, so we've got that. And we're going to skip over the one in the middle here. We're going to leave that one alone. So we'll grab this one, and this one here. And merge those, shift select that, and merge this one. Grab the edge in the middle and delete it. Okay, so you can see how that's reduced our geometry down, our resolution down quite a bit. We'll do the same on the bottom. Repeat this process. I'm just going to jump ahead and grab these. Okay, and then we'll delete the edges. Okay, So that's much more reasonable to work with this amount right here. So now we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 instead of 20, so that took it down quite a bit. So we're going to create a polygon cylinder now. We've got that out here on our shelf. Dropped it down here in the center. And let's go ahead and bring that up. This is going to be the wrist. So let's scale that down quite a bit, and we'll need to rotate it out. So 90 in Z axis. And we'll go ahead and position that kind of in the center there. And pull that out. And we're going to delete the faces off of here. Scale it down a little bit more. Okay, so we've got that in position. We don't need 20 subdivisions around the axis. We need 12 to match up with our hand. So let's put that in there. And let's go ahead and delete the faces. So I'm going to go into wireframe mode, just drag a marquee around that whole object, deselect the faces in the middle, and then hit delete. That gets rid of the faces on both ends. Back to shaded. Okay, so we need to connect these up now, and to do so, we'll need to combine the mesh under Polygons, Mesh, Combine. Okay, and we can select the edges now, so I'm going to double click here, as well as here. Under Edit Mesh, we're going to bridge those, so let's open up the option box for that, and reset our settings. Okay, we can use a linear path. I think that'll work. So go ahead and do that. We've got a few too many divisions in there. Don't really need that many. So we'll kind of back off. 1 is probably fine. Okay, and we can see that it's sitting up a little higher. What we should have done is probably grabbed our cylinder and scaled it down a little bit more. So we can go ahead and do that. Kind of position it back up here like so. Okay. So we can see how these are all flowing in here now. That works quite nicely. We don't have all that resolution to fight with. Okay. So we've got our wrist kind of in place. Let's kind of pull the wrist up so it's a little flatter on top here. Like so. And then this division right here, pull that up as well. Okay. And we'll round some of these points out here in a little bit. Some of the points along here are going to get pulled up. Okay. So we've got that in place. Let's go back to object mode, and we can start preparing the front here for where our fingers are going to go. And we can go ahead and grab kind of every other point here, top and bottom, and grab the outside ones as well. Need to scale those down. Okay, so missed one right there. So you can start seeing the shape of the fingers happening. All right, and we can grab some of these other points right here and begin pushing them down. Pulling these up a little bit. And we can round these out as well. Same thing here. And probably just grab the edges right here. Grab one right there. Okay. Pull these down. And these vertices could probably shift up a little bit and in. Start rounding that out. There we go. So it's starting to look a little bit like the palm of our hand. And we'll worry about shaping the top once we get the fingers on. We'll kind of come back here and start shaping both the palm and the top of the hand. Okay, so we can delete these faces here. We're not going to need them. So we can go all the way across here and just select faces, delete them. Okay, go back to object mode. Let's go ahead and save our scene if we haven't done so in a while. You might want to be saving. So I'm going to take this up to 14. Type hand on there. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of back out here and take a look at the scale of the hand. I think that looks like it fits him. It might be a little small overall. So I'm going to center the pivot on that. You can see the pivot is down here. So we'll center it over here and kind of take his hand up a little bit in size. Okay, and then I'm going to delete the history and freeze transformations on there. Okay. So we're going to use a cylinder to create one finger, and then we're going to be duplicating that for the other fingers as well as the thumb, and then just shape it as we need. So let's go ahead and drop a cylinder out here. Bring that up. That's going to be 90 degrees also. And we're going to drop the resolution down to 8 on here. Okay. This is going to match up with what we have on our fingers here. So let me just pull this out of the way, kind of show you. So we've got the edges here going around. So we've got an 8-sided cylinder that's going to match that. And let's scale that down. Getting that into place. Create the index finger first. Okay. All right, and we don't need these faces here on the inside. We'll need the ones on the outside. Let's go ahead and delete these. Okay. And then we can start inserting some edge loops where we're going to have our knuckles at. So let's drop the first one in here. So this is where the bend would happen. So there's our first one and our second one. Okay. So just kind of roughing things out. And we can scale these up just a little bit. And place an in-between one here. Kind of scale that in. Scale the knuckle up, and then scale this down a little bit. All right. And we'll kind of go back and forth, sort of shaping this a little bit. And this could probably move forward a little. We're going to extrude the tip off the end here, the tip of the finger. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to flatten it out just a little bit, grabbing the top edge here and deselecting that. And we can kind of flatten that out a little. Okay. And we can delete every other one of these edges on here. This is going to quad off the fingertip, which we want. Okay, and then we're going to grab those faces, end here. And we can kind of scale them down just a little bit to start with. And pull them up. And then go ahead and extrude that. This is where the fingernail is going to be. And kind of bring that tip down there. Okay, so I kind of want the tip sort of wide at the end. And I'm going to angle it a little bit like this. And I may have there we go. So it's going to kind of angle up a little bit. It's sort of stylized kind of fingertip there. And I want it fairly blunt on the end, but I am going to just pull this point out a little bit, as well as this one, just to give it a little bit of roundness there. Okay. And then we can start shaping where the fingernail is going to be. So I'm going to pull these points back. And we can put another edge loop around here. Hold that into place. And Q on the keyboard. Let's grab the two faces here. And extrude those in. I'm going to scale them first. So this is creating the fingernail bed. And we'll come back and shape a fingernail out separately and place it in there. Okay, so just kind of pushing that down in there, and then let's get a couple of edge loops down in here. Okay. And if you want to kind of pull that skin over a little bit on the end here, you can grab these points, kind of where it sticks over the nail. Sort of grab that, pull these up, and probably deselect those. There we go. Kind of pull that forward a little bit. I don't think I needed to pull those guys up. Let's drop those back down there. Okay, so that just kind of pulls a little bit of skin that's going to kind of wrap over the top there. And these points here could probably come up a little bit, like so. See that right there? And these could probably come up just a little bit as well. Here we go. And I'm going to take these and kind of push them down a little bit. Here we go. Especially this little end point right here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of drop that down. Same thing with these here. Here we go. For our fingernail to kind of sit on top of. And here we go. Okay, so let's work on the knuckles now. We're going to come under Edit Mesh, and we're going to use the Offset Edge Loop tool. And you want to click on the existing edge loop, and as you slide it up, they come closer together. As you slide it apart, they push further apart. So we're going to bring them in to about here. And we'll do the same thing on this knuckle. So it sort of places them evenly apart. Q on the keyboard, and then we're going to grab some of these vertices right here. And just on the top, we're going to create the space for the knuckle that we're going to extrude out. Kind of pre-shaping it. Okay, then we'll grab the faces here, extrude, center that, and scale it in, and kind of pull it up just a little bit. Okay. And do that again up here on this knuckle. So extrude, go to world space, and scale that in and just pull it up a little bit. All right. So if you hit 3 on the keyboard, you can start to see what this is going to look like. So the shape of it there. Again, we don't have our fingernail in there. We just got the fingernail bed created. So it looks a little odd right now. And this is where you can kind of stylize things a little bit. So I'm going to kind of taper these down a little bit more. And I think widen out his fingertip just a little bit. And maybe the tip of it kind of square it off a little bit, just so he's got kind of blunt fingertips. I missed one right there. Let's do that again. Okay. So I kind of like that sort of blocky look. There we go. And if you want to kind of pull some of these points down, you can do that. Okay, so let's go back to 1 on the keyboard, and we're going to create the little creases under the knuckles here. So I'm going to just pull these up. It's those 3 vertices on the bottom here. And pull them up. Okay, and then we can kind of pull some of this down right here and round that out. And if we push these back, it creates a little bit more of a fold in there. Okay. And if you hit 3 on the keyboard, you can kind of see what it's doing there. So these are fairly soft creases right now. If you want to create a little bit more of a crease, you can always insert an edge loop there, as well as here. And you want to spend enough time to sort of get this looking right. This is the finger that you're going to be using throughout the rest of the hand here. Okay. So let's take a look at that now. And it's starting to look good. I don't like the edge loop that I just put here at the end. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So it's kind of flat on the top. I sort of like that. Rounded on the bottom. Overall, it feels just a little too wide. So I'm going to narrow it down. Probably shorten it just a little bit. And let's go ahead and kind of position this and get it into place. All right, and these vertices in the back here should probably scale up a little bit to fit with the back part of the finger, or to the palm of the hand. All right. So we've got our finger pretty much shaped out. Let's kind of quickly create a fingernail for it. Okay, we're going to create a fingernail using a subdivision primitive. We're going to use a cube in this case. And it's dropped down here. Pull this over and bring it down to the end, lining that up at the center. And we can start to scale this now. Just flattening that out and scaling it down. Okay. So my fingertip is a little bit bent here at the end, so we'll have to kind of accommodate for that. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the vertices on here, kind of scale them back and pull them up to about here. Scale them down a little bit more. And I'm just kind of roughing out a basic shape like that. And we can grab these ones down the center and pull them up. Kind of give them a little bit of curvature there. Okay, and they probably need to all kind of come down a little bit in the back here. Okay, so subds are nice to kind of shape out things very quickly. I'm just going to come back here now and convert that under Modify Convert. So subdivision to polygon. Let's open this up, reset the settings on here. Okay, and we're going to go with uniform and convert that. So you can see that converts very nicely. It holds the shape very well. If we were to build this out with just a polygon cube, it would take a lot longer, and we'd probably have to use a lattice and all of that. And this is just a lot quicker, so it feels a little bit thick still. I'm going to kind of thin it out just a little bit more and scale it in just a little bit. Let's hit 3 on the keyboard. We can get a little bit better idea of what it looks like. There we go. So overall, that's looking pretty good. And if you don't want your fingertip kind of hanging out over the end like that, go ahead and pull it back. Tuck it in right there. Okay, and when it feels like it's kind of sticking up just a little bit too much, so I might shape this a little bit more. Widening out the tip here, and selecting these vertices. Selecting these vertices right here in the center and just pushing them down a little bit. Same thing with these here. Grabbing those rows and just kind of pulling them down a little bit. Okay. And I'm just kind of noticing my finger right here. I don't really like quite how flat it's gotten. I'm just going to pull that little point out right there. Kind of round it out. Same thing here. Okay. Just kind of checking that. And these points right here, maybe pulling those out just a little bit more. Okay, so see just a couple more areas. I think this just needs to be slid over here a little bit. Okay, and my fingertip is a little bit kind of bent there. I must have pulled some vertices in the wrong direction, so I'm just going to angle that to fit in there better. Okay, so we've got our fingernail now, and we can come into our outliner, and I've already started naming a few things in here. So I've got the palm, the finger, and my subdivision circle here is the nail, and we'll start combining these a little bit later. In the next lesson, we're going to duplicate the finger over and shape them, make sure everything looks good before we actually attach them onto the palm, and we also have the thumb to address as well, and we'll do that in the next lesson.